Hi there, special good morning and welcome to the News Flash segment of the show. Gone by was Sheila Sechi bringing you the news there and quite a lot of development around the country. And we're going to get into our discussion segment and we'll really appreciate if you stay very interactive on all the things we'll be talking about today. It's been a very engaging week so far. We've been very interactive. Yesterday, lots of message we received from you. We could not read some of them. But today, we'll try and do that so much more today, all right? And we have a lot to talk about, a lot to talk about today because there's a major meeting that is expected to take place at the Jubilee House. Today is a cabinet meeting, and we understand there's going to be quite a lot of emphasis on what is happening in the Middle East, what government is going to do about the rise in fuel prices. We know GPRC have decided to suspend, if you want to call it that way, their intention to increase lorry fares. And this is because they are hoping to hear something from government and understand that is going to happen today. So we're going to get into it, how government can navigate the difficulties that the country is going through because of what's happened in the Middle East. And if indeed, because we've heard a lot. We've heard a lot about the impact that this has happened on our economy. So we'll talk about that. We also know that the president earlier this week unveiled the Ghana Fiscal Council, and quite a number of names have also emerged. We're going to explore that to see how best the council can help us to do what is intended to do, especially having to do with our debt situation and a few other things that the council will be engaged in. And also there is the minority who are still on their cocoa trail. They are still in the cocoa farms, engaging the cocoa farmers on the price cuts. And we hear that they are planning to petition Otumfo on the price cut. It's an interesting move by the minority. And of course, earlier in the week also, we know the development having to do with the Dauman mine, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, having given the lease to NPP that has generated some debate also. And we'll try and touch on that on the show today. Well, in studio already with me is Kwesi Kwarteng is a lawyer and a member of the NPP communications team. And also we've got the former member of parliament for Amenfi Central, Honorable Peter Yaw Kwakye Ackah. Gentlemen, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
It's been a good week, hasn't it, Kwesi?
Yeah.
I think so far so good.
Not bad.
So far so good. But it's been a while. I think it's been a while. You haven't been very frequent on the airways in recent time.
Yeah, I mean, after a very tense election, you would ordinarily want that to settle. I mean, sometimes you, as a person, you want to take a step back, find balance, and come back again. So I've been frequenting on radio, but the pace has not been as it used to be before. But I mean, I'm here. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yes. Honor, we are smiling. You're smiling. Interesting. Well, good times. Let me just go to the newspapers, the ones I've got here briefly, and then we can start our discussion today. I've got the Inside newspaper, and on the front page it says, "You can't do FOCO." Interesting, incredible. You can't do FOCO. And I'm sure the paper is going to be on the screen. I'm not making this up. That's the headline in quotes. You can't do FOCO. And it says, Oforiatta brags from US as his lawyers confirm release from ICE Center. So that's one major story also that broke out yesterday. That the former finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, they say is reportedly in joyous and spirited mood in the USA, having been released from detention by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement following a judicial order. And we understand his release comes at a time when Ghanaian authorities claim to have triggered an Interpol red alert notice seeking his arrest and subsequent deportation to Ghana. And that's the development. But we hear also that the matter relative to his deportation is still in court, and come April 27, it's going to go back to court for a hearing on that. So, and based on the sources journalists has also picked up, we hear that his passport has been seized by the U.S. authorities, and his deportation matter is still in court, and that will be heard. So that is on the front page of the Inside newspaper. And you also got Tour rebounds, combat revival, agenda gaining momentum is there. The UK's Reform Party vows to block visas for countries demanding slavery reparations. Incredible. And
what kind of gagging is that?
It's incredible. It's incredible, man. They say if you are there and you're asking for slavery reparation, then they will block visa. They won't give you visa.
Don't come to my country.
Won't let you come to my country. Wow. Well, Ghana, Palestinian Christians file over attempt to kill religious freedom in the Holy Land by Israel. And we don't have a chief. Otuapele Jasiche appeals to IGP for protection amid threats to security, and a few other stories on the Inside newspaper. Then let's go to the Independent. It says Julius Debra is a rising Eastern star to shape Ghana's future as next president. That's Ayisa Foster making that comment there. And of course, this came on the back of the Kwewu Business Summit, a very successful one. And we're going to have a conversation on that later on the show. And Ghana's downstream sector expands, fuel demand hits 8.7 billion litres, and the MP donate 30-seater bus to NPP and Yaw Kwakye Ackah. And misplaced priorities at Ghana Exim Bank, over $100 million loan to Heath Goldfields is here. And you've got the New Republic newspaper. It says, Ken's rebel machine gears up to bury Bawumia. Hey, really? Interesting. Movement accuses NPP infiltrators target Samira as curse. Bawumia will never be president. Well, I don't know where this is coming from. That's an interesting one. It says, this is the New Republic. It said a powerful new political storm is brewing. The base movement, a breakaway force loyal to firebrand politician Kennedy Japon is gathering speed, and it goes on and on and on and on. Well, Kosi is here. I'm sure he will want to react to that. The minority demands sweeping reforms at Kwewu Forum. I've got the picture of the second deputy minority whip, Honorable Jerry Ahmed Shaib. And the clock sack boss Bampo Ado busted, courts drawing salaries from 3 sources. Hey. Wow. That story is on page 5, and I'm sure he's definitely going to release a statement on this. Anyway, you've got MPA moves to weed out cheap labor tanker drivers, and high-income voters flee MPP. That's as NDC double its share, according to the findings by Musa Dankwa. And GPR2 and VIP fare war looms. We know VIP have increased their fares, and GPR2 is threatening to do same. And you've got the News Guide Africa, and it says global cocoa production forecast, Ghana's opportunity. And Dr. Randy Abe is being hailed there as a reformist, and his leadership is filling the global void. That's the article there. And Mahama unveils high-level Africa Reset Panel to radicalize global health architecture. And there's also the conversation on LGBTQ+. And it said the bill sparks political firestorm as religious leaders demand clarity as Akwatia MP defends Mahama's stance. We know the president says it's not a priority of Ghanaians, and that has been re-emphasized by the government spokesperson. And he later clarified that, well, when it comes to when the bill finally arrives at the desk of the president will sign it, but they believe that it's not the priority of Ghanaians. There's divided opinion on that. Education Minister cracks down illegal fees, pledges urgent fix for Ibri girls' water crisis. Is also here. And I think finally is the Overseer newspaper, and it says Finance Minister urges bold reforms as EBID leaders convene in Accra. And the MP for Akwatia has also been trending. He says MPP has no credibility to speak on LGBTQ issues. Wow. And MP Ekoma champions safety and excellence in downstream petroleum sector. And Mahama nominate 5 to Ghana's Fiscal Council to strengthen oversight. So A lot of these stories are on the various front pages. Well, but let's start with the big issue happening today. But even before that, let me just come to Kwesi Kwarteng. I think you were just asking about the matter having to do with Kenny Japan and the story that's emerging on the New Republic. You want to respond to that? Yeah, they say the base movement is affiliated to Ken, and they are trying to tear apart the NPP.
Ken is alive, thankfully, and we also see the base every day being organized. I think the faces behind the base are not anonymous. They are people that have front their face and are championing it. I've made it clear on many occasions that, I mean, you know Ken, his tempo and his style. If Ken also come out to say that I'm fronting the base, he has that courage to do that. He doesn't care. He has the courage to stand by his convictions and his belief. I've clarified on many occasions that the base is on his own, and as at now, Ken has not. I mean, when was Easter Monday? I spent the whole day in his house.
That was just this Monday, right?
Yeah, I spent the whole day in his house, and such conversation did not come up that he want to start a political party. What he has confirmed to me that I can communicate to the general public is that, as at now, the moment he is very focused on his businesses and, of course, creating more jobs for the good people of Ghana. I think it should end there. As to whether or not he is funding a political party or building a political party, time will tell. But all I can say is that I don't have such briefing. I have explained on many occasions that he's not behind any base. But come to think of it, should the question be about whether or not somebody is behind such a movement? I think the conversation should rather be geared to addressing whatever potential break that the party may face, irrespective of who is funding it. I mean, the base, everybody knows, is being led by Dr. Tibosu. And of course, people have explained he has his own issues with some party hierarchy. And people have explained he's doing that out of bitterness or whatever view. But I mean, whatever that may be, they obviously have to be concerns that ought to be addressed. And for me, I think the conversation should be geared towards how party leadership can act proactively to prevent such separation or such a movement, which obviously may have a potential of affecting our chances in 2020. For me, that should be the conversation. But as to whether Ken is funding, Ken is behind it, we've made it on many occasions. We've clarified that on many occasions that Ken is still a member of the New Patriotic Party.
And it has nothing to do with it.
He has nothing to do with it. But I think that clarification also.
Okay, great. Interesting. Honorable is really smiling this morning. Well, something is going to your mind on this matter?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to my brother and to you, and then to all your viewers and my constituents. I think this conversation has come up in various places, and I've spoken openly about it, especially when they were going for their primaries. After that, I said we tricked NPP by urging them to vote Ken as flag bearer, but they fell for it and elected Bawumia, who is no match for the NDC. I said it. And another time I said, well, Bawumia will be no match at all. He is definitely going to lose, no matter what. We believe that if Ken had been elected, it was going to pose a problem, even though he was also going to lose, but some of us believe that he was going to do better than Bawumia. Bawumia, what has he got to say again? There is nothing. Whatever he wanted to say, he has said it. So now, I don't see how he's going to talk about the economy. Now he's moving about talking about AI. So in one of my posts, one of my discussions on TV, I said they should leave the AI topic to the experts and come back to the economy. That was why they brought him to be the vice president. And when he came, it was a total disaster, total. the CD dollar rates, the economy, the inflation, everything went haywire. And now he's the flag bearer. And she beginning to give the lectures that she gave those days about the economy, because in this country, the major problem is the economy. If we are able to handle the economy, all other things will fall in place. And luckily enough, he is an economist, the best in the world. Now you have been given the mantle, and you are just deviated. So I believe that we don't need Ken. You don't need Ken to undermine him to lose the election. He is already a loser. He is going to lose big time. Maybe after that, NPP will learn and bring someone else, you see. So I think a drowning man will clinch at the last straw. If you understand, yes.
Interesting.
Well, 2028.
I want to make a quick
again?
what Honorable said. No, I mean, because you see, I with my position as the spokesperson for Ken, if I do not react, the impression will be put out there that some way, somehow, I'm even supporting.
You condoned what I'm saying.
Which I disagree, especially in my capacity here as a member of the party's communication team. On the subject matter of whether or not Bawumia speaks about the economy or digitalization or AI, I mean, what he speaks about matters. I mean, no two ways about that. But come to think of it, even Kokon Ketenkete was able to bring Mahama back to power. Why can't AI or digitalization bring back Dr. Bawumia? I think the focus should not be what happens within the NPP. Parties move through phases. I mean, there are peaks and valleys, ups and downs, fulfillments and disappointment. Parties get to a stage where they get to the saturated point, but ultimately they recover. I mean, this is not the first time any party has suffered electoral defeat before. Even if you are talking about history, the first party that suffered the greatest defeat, especially within the Fourth Republic, was President Mahama with over 1 million votes difference. I mean, before Dr. Bawumia's recent performance. But yes, Mahama came back quite stronger. So for me, I think usually after the 8 years, a lot of things change. Currently, the focus should not be about the personality of Dr. Bawumia per se, but we are a party who will come together with one accord and campaign. Of course, we will also campaign on our track record. And I still believe that Ghanaians are still giving the NDC some honeymoon or some holiday, which I believe with time it will also fade. The goodwill gradually, you and I know, is fading. I'm sure we will have the conversation about the cocoa farmers. They made promise about 24-hour economy. A lot of them, they say Russia, Ukraine had no impact today, like one of your headlines, which I'm sure we'll discuss. As at now, all of a sudden, a war in Israel, between Israel and Iran. Of course, also U.S. Having a very active participation. They are now saying with the double standards. Those are the focus they should address, and especially, and most importantly, they promise about ending galamsey, which we know is also skyrocketed, creating jobs with a 24-hour economy. Unfortunately, they sacked a lot of Ghanaian workers and young people who have had living jobs for the first time. So they should focus on delivering rather than focusing on the candidature or the personality of our flag bearer.
Well, talking about focusing on delivering, I believe maybe that's one of the things that the president and the cabinet will be seeking to do today because of the increase in fuel prices. I just saw a tweet from one media personality, and she mentioned that in March, early March, I believe, Caroline Simpson, and that tweet is still on, the post is still on X. And she mentioned that sometime in March, she filled her tank to the brim, actually, and she filled it for 665 cedis, I believe. And just this week, she went to fill it. Yes, so in 29th of January, she filled her tank, full tank, 660 Ghana cedis. Then yesterday, she went to fill her tank, and it was 855 Ghana cedis. So clearly, there's been an increment.
Yeah.
And to a very large extent, the increment in the prices is because of what is happening in the Middle East. We know VIP, or VVIP, if you want to call them, they've also increased their fares from Accra to Kumasi now. We understand at least about 20 or 30 cities has been added to it. And even GPRT is looking to increase it. Even sachet water sellers have also given an indication that they will increase their prices. So clearly we are in a bit of some difficulty, all right? So what is government looking to do? What's the expectation from that cabinet meeting?
Yes, it's obvious. Everybody knows. You didn't need to quote the increase in the
was it uncomfortable? Was it uncomfortable?
No, I mean, it's. I believe that's obvious. Everybody knows that this thing has increased. We all buy fuel, so we know we can't run away from that. But if such a war is happening, you know, the Strait of Hormuz controls about 20% of world fuel. So this is not like Ukraine and Russia. No, we can't compare the two at all.
Why?
This one is international. Everybody knows, and it affects every country. Every country has been affected. And it is not like Ukraine and Russia, where we were experiencing high fuel prices, and Ivory Coast and Togo, nothing was happening. So you could clearly see that it was a pretext. It was a pretext that they used this Ukraine and Russia war, and before that the COVID, this and everything. But this one, you can't deny. Nobody can deny it. However, I believe that other factors also, like you were talking about Bawumia. No, I mean, if you see the fundamentals that he spoke about when he was in opposition at that time, and they gave him the mantle, everything went haywire, and we are all in this country. You can't just deny at all. He himself knows that the economy was in poor state. That's why Ken Ofori-Atta is now hiding. Look, he says we can't do nothing. Is it not a disgrace that finance minister, you have been in power for about 7 years, you finish, you are in jail? Huh? The place
is in detention.
Detention. Okay, you call it detention.
But he's out of detention.
Detention. He was not in his house. You are detained. So if you are detained, you sleep and nobody sleep. Didn't you see his bed? Even his dog in this country will not sleep on that bed. Here, you say he was not in prison. He was detained. You saw that detention. I mean, it's a big disgrace. That's somebody of his stature. He has business around, and because of his bad leadership, now he's taking sojourn in America. I mean, like a kid. I myself, if you give me that opportunity, I will not lie. I would like to stay in this country. And you are now begging for a green card. Green card is for these young guys. Young guys for green card. And you finance minister of Ghana for 7 years.
But the reality,
a billionaire.
But the reality is that what we are experiencing now, contrary to at least the argument you made at the time, that look, what was happening in the world didn't necessarily affect Ghana. No. We are seeing that now, and it's
now is the world. Now is the world. Before it was Ukraine and this, no.
Is it really the case? Are you still taking a position that what happened between Russia and Ukraine didn't have any impact on Ghana's economy whatsoever?
What effect did it have? That's why I'm citing an example that other countries around us did not experience that. But for this U.S. and Iran war, the whole world, there's no country that has been left out. So that is the difference. So you can't say that, because Russia and Ukraine we spoke about, we can't just talk about it now. Now it is global. Every country. No country is left out. Do you deny that? No. But Russia and Ukraine, people did not even see the effects. What did it affect? So let us see. Now, if these people were to be in power, do you think we will be able to contain the situation? Now, whatever be the case, the city is more or less stable. Unlike Bawumia's time, where the city was, he said he had arrested it, and it never happened. It broke jail. And what about the inflation? Now, even though this fuel price is going up, you see the inflation is still going down. Is it not helping? Imagine it was Bawumia's time. Inflation will be skyrocketing, the fuel will be going up, the dollar will be going up. How are we going to survive? Like we had the hyperinflation during their time. So almost all the fundamentals are going down.
No, but you know, if GPRST proceeds to increase the price of their lorry fares, we're going to see an increment in almost everything. What we buy, what we eat, this is
you are conjecturing. You are conjecturing.
Yeah, but that's the reality, isn't it?
Now you know
pretty much the price of everything.
Now inflation is
by the lorry fares.
Now inflation rate is 3.2. So even if it affects, it goes to about 5. It's still better than when they left it. At one time, it went to about 50-something% before it dropped to 24.3. Now we have managed to bring it to 3.2. So if this world crisis has occurred and it goes even to 5, we are still better off. I mean, for inflation, sometimes it fluctuates, yes, but you can't compare that to their time at all. No, almost everything. The GDP growth is better. The debt to GDP, which was affecting us, which they made them do the haircuts, because there was no space at all to spend. Every money we earned was going to cover our loans, because Ken Ofrata will always go for a loan, no have any purpose, because he was going to get his cuts, because he was now the mediator. And so that was the interest they had. So our loans and our debt just skyrocketed.
But specifically, what should Ghanaians expect from this cabinet meeting?
I believe
we see some, particularly because one of the things, demands that have been made is that the Doomsor levy, as they call it, should be scrapped. They're also asking for a few other margins in the
well, I believe we have the experts who manage to run this economy to bring it to this stage. So when they go there, I believe they are going to make sure.
But will you support the idea that maybe the Doomsor levy should be removed?
I am not an expert there, but if it's removed, it's okay. Even though it's going to have effects on our destiny, because they left this debt, legacy debt. So when we had this one city, we were able to pay the power producers, and that is why we have relatively stable power. Now, if they are going to scrap it, well, it could be. I don't know the strategy they are going to use, but definitely there's going to be a strategy. Maybe they will scrap some of the taxes, which their time they heaped up. Now, when this NDC came, we have removed some of them and introduced the one city, because of the dollar, the price of fuel had dropped significantly. So we had to impose that one city tax. So now in this situation, it is possible. It is possible they will do something, because I heard Honorable Jinapo saying that they are going to make sure that they do something to mitigate the effects of the fuel hikes. So, but one thing, this GPRTU, sometimes you can understand, when fuel prices were very low, we were begging them to reduce the prices. They never heeded. And now the moment when the increment started on the 1st, straight away they made a ultimatum that if the government did not reduce the price, they were going to strike, which I found very disingenuous, because, well, even though it's going up, but if it goes down also, they must reduce the price. If it goes up and they increase, then it's fair. But they never did that. So we are just appealing to them, must hold on. I believe that the president, in his wisdom, knows how to relieve Ghanaians, and I think definitely they are going to do something about it and try and bring the price down. But long term, we have to think about other things. Now this government has brought this refinery, which in NPP stand for the whole of a year, they collapsed it and depended only on imports of crude finished products, which was very bad, because it was good for them every time the prices were going up. Now, Tema Refinery is going ahead and is making profit now. What I will say is that we must think ahead and maybe scatter a lot of these refineries around, because now we are net exporter of crude oil and yet net importer of finished products. Do you see the irony? So assuming we had all these refineries here to work on our crude oil, that means we shall be a net exporter of finished products, and that would not have affected these prices at all. So this is what we have to do. The government has started refining, but it's not enough. So we are net importer of finished products.
Okay, let me
if
come
we
to
do that, it can help us.
Now. Kwesi, are you satisfied with the explanation he's given on this matter?
No, obviously. I mean, even if I'm satisfied,
you will not
agree.
What is my brother saying? If even he's satisfied, you will not agree.
I will not agree. Yes, but I mean, to be very objective and honest with you, I'm not satisfied. First, I want to start on, there's a quick bite or a quick rebuttal on the Ofori Atta issue. I think it was reported by the Insight newspaper. The caption was, Ofori Atta is saying you can't do FOCO. And I believe the headline, if we are all being very objective and honest to ourselves, is sensational. Because the man has not even spoken. And we should not give so much focus on it. In terms of whatever is happening around him, I believe he's an adult, makes decisions for himself. Accountability is key as soon as you accept a public office. And so everybody acknowledges that he should give himself or avail himself out for the purpose of accountability. That one, nobody disputes that.
Yeah.
But come to think of it, assuming without admitting there has been some allegations or accusations that has been leveled against him, and the guy is not responding, what prevents the state from going to court and even seeking a judgment against him in absentia? That really makes it easy, especially if he doesn't file a defense. And then based on the judgment, we can then even use that as a basis to extradite him to come and face whatever conviction or sentence that he has to face. So,
I mean, they say they want to ensure fair hearing. They don't want to. There's an option they call explore, but they want to ensure fair hearing.
Fair hearing doesn't necessarily mean
so that it doesn't have a case of, well, yes, we tried in absentia. And
yeah, fair. I mean, the fact that you are trying him in absentia does not mean you are not giving him fair hearing. The principle of natural justice, you give the opportunity to be heard. If that opportunity is waived, then it means the state has done its part. You see, these whole allegations about NPP stole this, they mismanaged the economy, they did that, people were stealing money, whatever, over 28 billion. As of now, have they been able to even finish one successful prosecution and gain conviction for any of them? So, I mean, personally, I have my own reservations on the Ofori Atta subject matter. I mean, sometimes I feel people should not even give room for speculations and perceptions to be built and sustained in the court of public opinion. To me is facing his own trial. He's going through the process.
Yeah.
Hanan is going through his own process. Gift Jawari is going through his own process. We hope they have their day in court. Any other person, you avail yourself, you have your day in court. When allegations are leveled against you, it doesn't necessarily mean you are guilty. The Constitution is very clear, Article 19. Every accused person shall be deemed innocent until proven guilty in a competent court of jurisdiction. So until the state is able to prove, you are presumed and deemed innocent. So I mean, sometimes I'm tempted to believe he could have also held matters, especially by availing himself. So what is going to happen? Going to court or going through process does not necessarily mean that you are necessarily going to be convicted. You may have your day in court. But I'm saying that since the state has done so much and extended so much courtesies to him, and the state believe that the guy is not availing himself, what is the next thing? The state can proceed with whatever charges, go for trial. His lawyers are here. If his lawyers fail to enter appearance, it's a criminal trial.
But we know charges have been filed in courts. You know, the OSP has indeed filed charges.
If there are charges, it means that the trial must proceed. You don't necessarily need him. If you give an accused person an opportunity to be heard, and they say, I've waived that opportunity, I'm not coming, or I'm not interested in coming. And you see, it is not Ofori Atta in criminal trial. You do not need even the accused person to come and help your case. It is the burden of proof rests on you as a prosecution to make sure that you prove to the court that the person has committed the said offense or whatever charges that were pressed against him. So I strongly believe that if the state has a case, they should move forward, get a judgment against him, and then make processes to make sure that they get him to commit to the judgment. Now, beyond that, on this whole Russia-Ukraine conversation, Israel-US conversation, I want to say something that is very profound. You see, it is not only unfortunate, but for me, if you ask me, it is unintelligent and completely dishonest to acknowledge the impact of the Israel-Iran war or conflict on the Ghanaian economy, whilst at the same time dismissing the impact or the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war on Ghana. It's completely dishonest, unintelligent, and very unfortunate to do that. Because, what did I was saying?
You say unintelligent, you mean I'm not.
Not necessarily. I'm just looking at. I mean, I'm not personalizing it.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm just looking at this from a broader perspective. Because even if you take your phone right now and Google or just even AI, the impact of Ukraine, Russia war on the global economy, and narrow it down even to the African and the Ghanaian context, you are going to get a whole lot of information on it. Same as that of the Israel-Iran war. You see, what we are failing to acknowledge now and what we are doing now as politicians is that we are just playing politics with it. I am sure even beyond personalizing issue, Honorable himself knows that Russia-Ukraine had an impact on the Ghanaian economy.
No, I don't.
I'm coming.
No, I
am coming there. Beyond that, even before that, prior to the Russia-Ukraine war, don't also forget that there was an underlying factor, and the country was even just emerging from the impact of COVID. And so, unless, of course, Honorable wants to sit here and also dispute that unequivocally, he strongly believes that even the underlying factor COVID did not have any impact on our economic performance. Oh, I'm coming. So there was COVID. That is what I want any reasonable person to admit or come to the realization or test before even proceed. During the COVID time, I work in the Ministry of Education. So mostly I borrow the example at the Ministry of Education. Teaching staff alone, there were over 350,000 teaching staff who did not work for a whole 1 year. Yes, so government paid them. Not to even talk of the other interventions, including water, including electricity subsidies, other health sector, within the health sector, health workers, the myriad of interventions. Do you think those monies came from heaven or it came from Mr. Furia's pocket? It was obviously the state's money.
No, that was IMF.
Respectfully, but I mean, whichever way, IMF will not bring his money to me. It will obviously come from the state. But you have to do the reconciliation and know that it obviously had an impact on the Ghanaian economy. Then beyond that, as at when we started the recovery process, the post-COVID, the Russia-Ukraine also came in. What people fail to acknowledge that the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war was even more than this. Yes, I agree. If you look at the Gulf area, like Honorable said, controls about 20% of the world's fuel. That's about 20 million barrels every day of fuel that we are missing just by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. So no two ways about that. I will not be dishonest and play the Wall Street game. I strongly agree that yes, indeed, the Israel-Iran-US war has an impact, especially on the energy sector. But come to think of it, the impact of the Israel and Iran war is only sectorial. But if you look at the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war, it goes beyond sectorial and it's systemic. Why am I saying that? Aside the energy sector that war hit, because Russia also produces large number of fuel, which also sells to the world, sells on the world market. You have Russia. Let me even start with Ukraine. You have Ukraine being the highest producer of wheat, Russia flour. Wheat alone, the impact of the war, the price of wheat doubled more than 100%. So that should even tell you that. I mean, you
saw that in the price of bread.
Yeah, in the price of bread, yes. Now you go to Russia. Russia produces a lot of fertilizer in terms of the agri-business and food production and the food chain. They produce a lot of fertilizer. And of course, I mean, the transportation and the logistical constraints that even came was occasioned by the war. So we are not getting so much production of fertilizer. Even if they are able to produce, the fertilizers are not hitting third world countries like us. So obviously, you have an impact of such war when it comes to areas of agriculture, being the fertilizer supply and production, in the areas of even food processing and the food chain, being the wheat and the flour. And then on top of it was the impact of the war on our energy sector, which is the increment of fuel. You can Google it. Before, just like the Russia-Ukraine war, and even just like the US and Iran war. Remember, before the war started, the fuel per barrel was around $60 to $65. Then during the war, it went from around $70 to $75. Today, it's around $126. If you look at the Russia-Ukraine war too, fuel also built up to around $126. But like earlier indicated, that was multi-sectorial. It didn't really attack our energy sector, which is, the fuel and the transportation challenges that we had, but also affected our agricultural sector and even also affected our food chain. But beyond that, don't also forget that prior to that, there was also the impact of COVID, which also coupled and, of course, created some form of inflationary pressures on us. Today, the NDC government, and, of course, my good senior brother, now wants us to admit that, when it comes to Israel, Iran, it had an impact on us. And for that matter, cabinet needs to sit. Even cabinet, are they technical people? Cabinet needs to sit and profess solutions. We agree, no two ways about that. But I'm saying that it is completely inconsistent, it's completely unintelligent, it's completely dishonest for anybody to say that, yes, Israel-Iran war has an impact on the economy of Ghana and dismiss the fact that Ukraine and Russia had an impact on us. But what about,
what about the argument that also comes up that, yes, to some extent, the Russia-Ukraine war might have had an impact on our economy, but if you look at the fundamentals at the time and the nature of our economy at the time and the nature of our economy now, despite the impact that this war is having on our economy now, because the economy is in a relatively good state, is able to absorb the impact of it, and the effect of it is not as dire as we experienced at the time. So to some extent they say, they are taking credit that yes, the impact would have been worse if they had not put the economy
simplistic. A simplistic argument. The reason why I'm saying it's a simplistic argument is that, you see, Mahama didn't inherit a COVID economy. What he inherited was an economy that was on the path of recovery. And the indicators and the signals were very clear that, we went into a global economic recession post-COVID, coupled with the impact of Russia-Ukraine war. But the data and the trajectory show that this is an economy that was gradually healing from the impact of the pandemic and the impact of the war. So he inherited a recovering economy. Significantly, what have they really done to change the face of the economy? Nothing so huge. No, you should be able to maybe tell us, aside the fact that maybe you promote galamsey, monopolize.
Fiscal discipline.
No, but
you don't see fiscal
discipline where?
Borrowing. We don't borrow.
You've not borrowed since you came?
No, not.
Are you sure? Let's put you on record so that we verify.
He said not excessively.
Not excessively.
But who said we were doing excessively? You have just been 1.5, less than 1.5 years. You think, why?
Oforiata's duty was only to borrow. Oforiata.
I don't think it's
that was only.
I don't think it's a fair description. I don't think it's a fair description of. Let's assume we even borrowed. The projects that we started, I'm not even sure you started even one of them.
You finish your
and the policies that we laid, I'm not even sure you even did any of them. I don't think borrowing is so much of a crime that we have made it so heinous. It's what we are borrowing for. And of course, even when you people said you are not going to borrow, you borrowed. So let's put it there. You've just spent 1.5 years in office. Take your time. Focus on the policies that you promise us.
Now, I want to even jump to some responses there.
Yes, because when we came to power, was Russia-Ukraine war stopped? Had it stopped?
No, it hasn't stopped.
It hasn't.
But the severity of it had reduced.
But what was the rate of the dollar to the cedi? And what was the fuel price? If you are saying Russia-Ukraine war had affected, yes, when we came, the price was very high. Inflation rate was high. Everything was high. And still the war is going on. But we managed to bring everything down. What do you say?
You didn't inherit a COVID economy.
No. No. That's what I'm saying, that if you compare, during COVID time, the argument we were making was that the COVID did not pass Ivory Coast. It did not pass through Togo. It came straight to Ghana. So it was only Ghana that was affected. The other countries all were doing well. So that was the argument. So if COVID is doing bad to countries, it should affect almost all countries.
But the World Bank did give an indication that, look, the whole world was affected to some extent. Maybe
practically, what I was saying is that Ivory Coast, our close neighbors, were not affected.
Who said that? It's misleading.
But it could be in terms of the effect that
okay, let's say.
And even our responses were never the same.
Let's say that. And during COVID also, do you know that World Bank and the rest, they gave us money for free? And even we had excess money, more money than we had spent.
It's not true.
It is on record. If you like, Google and see. We had excess money. So we used the COVID to amass wealth. And that's what the free meal that they gave. Didn't you see what happened? They would just stand on a car, throw some food around. People would scramble for it, and after that, they bring a huge bill to consume all that money which was brought. So you should not compare at all. So I have given you the indication that if COVID and COVID had gone, but Russia-Ukraine war is still raging on. It's still raging on. But we have never spoken about it because we have managed to stabilize the economy. The economy is now resilient. But this America-Israel-Iran war is global. There's no country that has been left out.
So fundamentally, the government, the increase in the fuel price cannot be, the blame cannot be put on the government.
No, I don't think so. That's what I'm saying, that it's global. Every country in the world.
Don't you see the irony there? When the prices come down, is the government's to the government credit.
Nowadays, usual politics.
No, the government, as I said, when the price was very high, Ukraine and Russia was ranging on. And yet we managed to bring these things down because of fiscal discipline. A lot of projects, we eliminated a lot of taxes. And if you eliminate tax, you increase production. Productivity goes on, people get a lot of money in their pockets, and expenditure goes high. Family expenditure also goes high. It improved the economy. That's what we did. A lot of prudent measures were taken, and it brought everything down. It stabilized everything. So now, the economy is resilient. That is why even this global problem is not affecting Ghana as if it should do. Now, even with this one, the inflation rate is going down. Now it's 3.2 from 3.5. Is it not, wouldn't you say it's miraculous? But what did we see in their time? Always giving excuses. And we had hyperinflation. Now what they were accusing us of is that even though inflation is down, prices are not going down. And I used to argue that inflation doesn't mean that prices should go down. It's the rate of increase of prices. So we have stabilized the economy, the inflation has gone down. It means the rate of price increase has reduced. That's the meaning. But they were accusing that, oh, you say inflation has gone down, why don't you bring the prices down? That is deflation. And if you enter into deflation, your economy is going to crash. And that's what they were advocating for, because we have been able to. When the cedi and the dollar stabilized, they were saying that, oh, it was a trick. We were propping up. They listened. Then later, when they found out that it was stable, they said, oh, it's the gold. We have sold gold. We have done that. Why didn't you do that? Because that was the major problem in this country for our economy, the stability of the cedi. Businessmen could not plan. Everything was going up. So it was a credit of the government. Now, I believe that even with this, you can see the place is calm. Even though prices have gone up, the fuel prices have gone up, the system is calm. People are not agitating. People are not in a rush to do many things. So I believe that it means that they trust in the competence of the government, and people know that it is not the incompetence of the government. Earlier, you have spent millions of dollars to dig the biggest swimming pool in the world. That's the biggest. The cathedral. You spend huge amount, colossal amount of money to dig a swimming pool. If you go there, frogs. We are lucky we don't eat frogs here. But if you eat frogs, you go into that pool. Hey, up. If you pass there every time, you see the croaking of the frogs. They want to be eaten. Okay, that's how we use our money. A lot of expenditure.
But you keep making that refrain, and is it the case you also believe that there were some underhand dealings in that project? And if that's the case, why haven't you done anything about it?
Oh, that is what some of us are disappointed, because it was obvious. We saw what happened with the cathedral. We all know, where did the money go? And that is what I think the government should be serious about. Try to get all the, because that's why they are finding the amount now. Even though they did all these things, it was clear, everybody knows that the country was in a panic mode. Everything, the corruption was everywhere. And that's why the people of Ghana gave this resounding victory to the NDC. So we should not renege on our promise that we are going to punish the wrongdoers. Definitely the wrongdoers are there. So I'm on several platforms where people are lamenting that it's taking us too long. And that one, I agree with them.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I think very related to this is the cocoa price cuts. But even just before we touch on that, because see, are there any specific demands that you have of the government going into this cabinet meeting?
First of all, no, not really. To be very honest, I'm a Ghanaian. Irrespective of the government in power, I expect the country to progress and the economy to be stable so that all of us be free. I mean, this is my pickup. I used to buy fuel when the government came into power around, I'm sure it was around 800 cedis. So practically I was saving around almost 300 cedis when the government came into power compared to when we were in power. So I mean, it was a plus for me. Any Ghanaian who comes from an objective position will appreciate that at least. That is a plus, not for only the government, but for all of us, because it brings some ease. But yesterday I noticed that the price of my fuel started going up.
Going up.
Yes, and one would expect that. I mean, as a citizen, you would want it to at least, if not even come down, be stable. So it is our expectation that as the government meets, they are able to, as cabinet meets, of course, government meets, they are able to propose or bring out measures that will insulate the ordinary Ghanaian. On principle, I will not play the Wall Street game. On principle, I am for what they are doing. Leadership requires actions. Leadership is responsibility. Leadership requires policies and decisions that bring stability and comfort to the ordinary citizen. And that is what exactly that with this action they are doing. And I'm not so sure there's a government that comes to power and completely decides that I'm going to make my people suffer. I mean, sometimes politicians will look into each other's faces and give an impression as to, oh, this government is demonic, they just came to make you suffer. It's not as that. For instance, he spoke about the cathedral thing. I am of the firm belief that this government should take the matter up, investigate and address, which if they've not investigated and addressed it, I feel they are very late. And not only late, but also they've been lazy on that, especially how they weaponize the cathedral matter during the previous election. They should, if there are any prosecutions, they should do it and get us, all of us, closer. Because I'm not sure, like on the larger front as NPP, if anybody benefited from the cathedral unconventionally through any dubious or corruption means, they will call all NPP members and say, this is your cut or this is your cut. They won't call me. I woke up around 5 o'clock to prepare for this show. I'm not sure anybody will call me. Whoever had the cathedral money will call me. But I will come and defend this. I mean, objectively, any reasonable person will agree with me that even though, as at now, we've not been able to establish something concrete in terms of legally that person A did this, person B did this. Reasonably, everybody believes that not everything was well with the cathedral. So I will not sit here and dismiss it. But I call on the government to investigate and take legal action to bring closure to that subject matter, so that people that has also made it their business to hide under the umbrella of governments and political parties and enrich themselves unconventionally and dubious means, and of course it will come under the tag of, it's just like how civil servants behave. I work in the Ministry of Education. Sometimes if you come to terms with the excesses in the civil service,
it's not there.
You wake up and you don't even feel like going to work. And if you are not very careful, you get to a stage where you will now be socialized into the wrongs that they are doing. Because it's like if you don't do it, you are the only odd person there. But nobody holds them responsible.
Yes.
If today somebody goes and do a bad thing in any office, it becomes the NDC government.
Yes.
If the NPP is in power, it becomes the NPP government. Whoever supervised that national cathedral deal, who I don't care whose hand is in it, I don't care who benefited A, B, or C. That conversation, there should be a closure to it, so that whether the person is NPP or NDC, or even if it is Kwesi Kwate himself, let there be a closure to it. Because I mean, other than that, sometimes we also have to be very bold and tell truth to power, and even look into our faces and tell ourselves the truth. I mean, I'm a young person, and of course, young people like us, sometimes you sit back and say, in the next 15, 20 years, what will be the future of if not even for ourselves, for even our kids and children's children? And it looks like things keep getting worse, irrespective of the government in power. So I believe just like we are able to, in company law, we are able to pierce through the corporate veil and remove the corporate veil and hold people responsible. Some of these matters, individuals should be held responsible for their actions and inactions, so that we bring a closure to the matter.
I mean, let's just dovetail that to the cocoa matter. Why are some of your party people still in the cocoa farms and asking for it? Whether a restoration of the cocoa price or etc.
I mean, obviously, politicians will try to also consider the times you are in the moment, and obviously take advantage of it, and at the end of the day, not kind of exploiting the emotions of people. But you see, as opposition, that is your duty, to also look at the mood of the nation, gauge the mood of the nation, and speak for the people that has been underserved, the people that you believe they have been cheated, the people that you believe they should have had more and they are not getting it. It's natural with every opposition party, and I think probably we are even underdoing it. You recall how these people weaponize against us, as though when they can everything will come to an end. But they've done well. They've managed the media so well. So it's as though there is no Galamsey conversation going on. So yes, I think what the minority is doing is in the right direction. Sometimes I want to, in all honesty, I want to even insulate the presidency from the mess within the cocoa sector conversation. I strongly believe it was an indecision and administrative mishap by the CEO and cocoa board. And I believe they should be held liable. Because, see, it's just a simple analogy. It's either you sell your cocoa early and get the price of at the world market that was good, or you hold the cocoa and wait for speculative prices. And there's a guy who previously, I'm talking about Dr. Randiabi, previously sat on the show, Good Morning Ghana, laid claims why we are shortchanging farmers, and the fact that the cocoa, if you hold it, you are able to get more strength and bargain and sell it at a good price. Unknowing to him, that's not how the market is. The market fluctuates. So you need an expertise advice. So, for instance, if it was $70,000 per ton, there's a guy who will say he's waiting for $120,000 without even understanding how the market performs. And now it came to around $35,000. So the truth is that this is not a problem of the president. It wasn't a mistake of the president. The only disappointment I have in the president is that he's failed to crack the ship, because this is a pure administrative blunder. It was a leadership blunder at the cocoa board, and somebody ought to have taken responsibility from it. But you know the kind of politics that we play in our country. The president also believes that if I remove this guy, I'm setting myself up. You are going to get opposition who say, we said it, they have failed. So the fundamental problem is that if we speak to the cocoa farmers, they are not happy. They believe they are being shortchanged. I'm sure they will come in with all manner of explanations and logic and persuasions and quote world market and quote FOB price and whatever price. But if the government believes that it is right for them to set up cabinet, right, to intervene in the oil crisis relative to the ongoing war between Iran, Israel, and US, then the government is also burdened out of morality to also set up a cabinet and then also prefer solutions to our farmers.
They did set up a cabinet. They chose a firm position that, look, the world market price is this, so let's stick with the world market price and let's allow the price to reflect the world market price.
Well, I think that cabinet failed the farmers. Maybe because they do not respect the plight of farmers, or the cocoa sector is not really a big deal for them. After all, they are making a lot from Galamsey, so it is not out of place if they decide to neglect.
He makes a very profound point about the cocoa price.
They are making so much from Galamsey.
There was a cabinet meeting to allow the price of cocoa to reflect the world market price, hence the reduction. At the moment, there's a cabinet meeting to try and mitigate
the effects.
The effects of what's happening around the world on the price of fuel, and he's asking, why didn't you do that for the cocoa farmers?
Well, I like the honesty of my brother on the biggest swimming pool in the world.
He's patronizing me. Proceed with you.
I like his honesty there, so I'm going to be a bit measured in my next submission. And you see, this cocoa matter is unfortunate. I come from a cocoa growing area, so if I'm speaking, I must be very careful. Yes, because nobody will be happy if he's taking maybe a salary of 5,000 and maybe the next month you reduce to 3,000. Nobody will be happy. So I must be measured in my this. But what we fail to understand is the crisis that Cocoa Board was in when we took power. And it's unfortunate that we did not disclose all the rot in the sector. I think that was the biggest mistake of the CEO. The moment you take over, you have to let Ghanaians know what you are inheriting. Because definitely there was a handover where they imported $48 million of jute sacks, which were just getting rotten at the port. I mean, this $48 million, what are you going to do with it? And you have gone for a syndicated loan of several millions of dollars, and you were not able to supply the goods. You were not able to supply. And when NDC took power, you cannot say that, oh, that government had taken the money and they could not supply. So you have to supply. And at that time that they took the syndicated loan, the price of cocoa was over $7,000 per ton. And they did not supply. They just made use of the money. So later when NDC came, we had to supply the goods, which they had already taken the money and consumed. Spent some on purchases, like $48 million. Because if you procure, that's where you get your cuts. So they were more interested in the procurement rather than actually using the money to support the farmers.
Yeah, but bottom line, the farmers, like you mentioned, what they know is that my money has reduced.
Exactly. So that is why the NDC became, we had to supply that one. So by the time we finished supplying and then going to our own one, then the cocoa price fell. It fell to about how much? How much was it? Was it 3,000 or 3,000 something? You could see the difference. So now we had already fixed the cocoa price for the farmers based on the 7,200, which we could also not supply. And now we could not even get the syndicated loan because they had failed to honor the distance that they supplied. that they received, the money that they received, they had not supplied. So the other people, the people were not ready to give the syndicated loan. So what could we have done?
So you think what the minority is doing in the cocoa farms is? I
think so. Now the price they got, they had to meet and then give 90% of the FOB price to the farmers. And the FOB price is what we gave. Even though, as I said, it's not palatable, it's not the best. But under the circumstances, the government took only 10%, and which was not even enough to meet the running costs of the offices and all that. But they had to do that to make sure that the farmers don't lose out at all. What we could have done was maybe to go and borrow money and then give the farmers that agreed price and then later find money to pay, which would have also brought us into a very bad state. So I believe that even though it was a bitter pill, it had no choice than to go that way because of the incompetent way that they had run this thing.
But you will agree that what the minority is currently doing in cocoa farms is it could be affecting you politically.
Much ado about nothing. Hey. Much ado about nothing. They must rather come and concentrate on art. They have done enough. Going around the villages and
we are petitioning.
Petitioning Asantini, is he the one buying the cocoa? No, to do what? You are petitioning for him
to plead with you people.
To plead for the party to increase the.
No, to plead with you people. Please
increase the price
of cocoa farmers.
But don't you know that Ivory Coast and the rest, which we have also reduced the price below what Ghana is giving now? Are you not aware of that? You're not aware. So it means that even now Ghana is better. Yes, if we are not lucky, maybe they will smuggle their cocoa now into Ghana, and then we'll find it very difficult to even get money to pay them because syndicated loan could not come because they had messed up the area.
But they're saying just like you are intervening in the fuel prices, intervening in the cocoa price.
You see, the fuel price, as I said, to be honest, we are also net exporter of crude oil, but net importer, importer of.
But we also export cocoa and import chocolate and cocoa.
The cocoa, the price has dropped. The cocoa, the price has dropped. But this one, the oil, I believe that, in my personal opinion, I'm not part of the cabinet, but I actually think that if we get excess from the export of crude oil, it's the same industry. Then our import, which is more than what we produce here, then they can use some to at least cushion the.
But because what we are expecting, and we've heard it at least from a lot of the experts, is that government is likely to reduce some of its margins.
Margins,
yes. Yeah. So we are hearing that maybe even the Doomsor levy might be removed, and ultimately it will reflect in the price of fuel at the pumps.
Yeah.
Right. So government is deciding to absorb some of the costs.
Yes.
You know, yes. And it's within that same thinking, within that same principle that people are saying that, well, then why wouldn't government also decide to absorb some of the costs in the case of cocoa price and just put something on top for the cocoa farmers instead of saying, well, this is the world market price, so go with it?
Well, that is why they gave 90%. Because we don't give farmers, I think we give 60% or so of the FOB price. But because of this, government had to absorb and give 90%. So you think government has not absorbed some costs there? They have. Because you have to pay the workers, you have to, all the appendages of cocoa board and all, you have to pay them. But that 10% that it took will not be able to cover all those things. So in effect, they have absorbed the cost there to pay the farmer 90% of the FOB price. You cannot tell me that they have not absorbed the price.
Except despite that absorption, in reality, the farmers are...
Yes, physically.
They see that, no, we see that you have lost something.
Yes.
But in the same vein, they also see that you've lost something.
Yes, that is the unfortunate thing. In this case, you see that you have lost because it was taking this amount before and now like this. But that's why the education should go on. It's like your medium, or you understand, but you never use your platform to educate the farmers.
That's what we invited here to
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But these people should go. They're going around and for how many months? 2 months or so now. That is the only thing they can hang on, because otherwise nothing is going well for them. So this point they have got, they're going around. So this fuel, I think if the government will take off the 1 cedi, it will help the people, the commuters and all car users. However, that money is for something, because they left a lot of debts in the energy sector, and the government had to impose the 1 cedi when prices were very low to make sure that they clear all those things. And we have paid almost all.
Okay, great.
That is why the lights are on. The doomsday you see is not from production. It's from the inefficiency of the operators. But before, it was totally from the producers. It means if they shut it down, you get a whole lot of places. But now, you see that the system is running, but the typical Ghanaian inefficiency. That's why I say that the president, if he's resetting, he must look into all those things. Like you see your area, they say, oh, transformer has gone off. So maybe half a day, you'll be off. Yeah, they say, oh, the rain has, the lightning has struck the lines and it's gone off. As an engineer, I will not tolerate this. When I was on the ship, you can't give any excuse. The lights might be on 24 hours. If you are traveling from here to America, sometimes it takes 40 days at sea. You can't tell me your lights will go off. If your lights go off, you are going down the sea. And as chief engineer, I will not make sure. If it goes off for 10 minutes, next port, I will discharge you. And that is the strategy you have to use. Because now the government is paying the producers. So they don't have any reason at all to shut it down. But yet, those ones doing the downstream here, they are rather sometimes causing these lights off. So I believe that we must take note of this. And finally, I would say that government should look in the long term of this fuel crisis. Price increase by private operators. We must think of rail system. You see, this money that we use for this this manhole, this swimming pool, we could have used to start underground railway here. And for that is mass transit. If you go to Singapore and the rest, that's what they use. So you don't have this traffic, you don't have this fuel increases, nothing. Long track is going to, because our cities are not planned. Accra like this, you cannot use train, surface train to go into places. No, that's out. Unless we are ready to break out all these houses and put a proper rail, that tram, if you go to Amsterdam. But that is late. We have to go underground. Underground, everywhere in the cities, you can traverse. So that even if Accra Mall, if you want to go to Accra Mall, you just go. If they have 4 meters by 4 meters, the entrance will be there. You can come out and nobody will see anything. But then the intra-cities, we use the surface one. Because that one, you have a vast area to just pass the track.
I mean, especially for a city like Accra, it looks like we've missed the opportunity to do that. I mean,
the underground. Yeah. That's why they said they were going to do the sky train.
Okay,
and somebody consumed the money.
Just before we go into that, my colleague Sheila is at Obra Sport to interact with some of the drivers, just to get a sense of what they will be expecting from government today relative to that meeting on fuel price increase. If you're ready, let's hear what the people have got to say.
Transport operators and passengers, and government is preparing for an emergency meeting today. In fact, sources say that President Mahama has cut short his trip to France just to make it to this meeting, and so expectations are high, and a lot of people are looking out for measures that could be a relief to them. And so I'm here at Obra Sport Circle, finding out from transport operators, people who are live on ground, what their expectations are from this meeting. And I'm joined now by the station master. Offa, good morning. Now what to say? President Mahama trying to trip short, so or ba any mumpeni for did in common. More expectations were from meeting you anything. President Mahama any mumpeni for a meeting when concerning fuel prices, any more increment in fares, more expectations from the meeting anything.
Oh, Sunday, you see, Kono. I'm saying more than pa. Says now, no, say near city fence first so yɛtete so no na yɛnya ayibia home but now I'm say obeti fuel as kakra it was very normal I say recently na ye pon kra na obetimi ato bi abe 500 ni mu no recently be getting to 1 month ye to 1,000 for a day now we na say the whole day my adwuma bi is 16 million na me to 1,000
60 million, that's 1,600.
In the from Awomacha to midnight. Na metitini mabia. Hwinim e kan kwa na yebo. Yes, I mean I'm say boy events or government no. Government so boy kwan bia so because whatever no. Anya fu enko so na ye dey. Ye de gu kamu. They say at a single tie back 1,000 Ghana. I be that so I'm saying it's in whatever no yet TBB so na never be a toshaka mu yente so a ni nyina no na je say yo ha na fuel akosoro fuel no so na yi bibia free mu e re to bibi shaka no it is say ni nyina ma fuel a na je say ka na nka say ya intimi ye
intimo de ani say mo pese still ye to first mu
say ante so dia and I'm say ye be pack you because so corner unya one city woman now the be idea yetimi anya adwuma na just still o man ye kakra na yetimi bua no ye nyina na say yeso adwuma yere e be say no so no mcharo because each driver at last year a lot of things or this person e no e doso say obetua enkwala obetua water obetua light eniema bebre e was a single money mu no ntini say uwe obi bia na se ebi anka let us say for so bia amaso e kire bi de e be France we Yakwakye Ackah because you surround Awomacha to midnight driver for you now ye na because ye na ye boa obi a 7 produce o ye lawyer ho anwan ni adip to obe pick up na say yen e na ye boa no ma ne call ya akoduru sam pempe so no it is say yen ye nya hoto a so mo nya hoto.
All right, thank you so much. And that station master there sharing his sentiments, and he's insisting that if government opposes to the increment, well, then it means drivers may, have to run out of job. I'm still here at O'Brien. I'm joined by another of Amenfi Central. I'm joined by another driver. What are your expectations from this meeting?
Fuo no boa kosoro pa nte be yanko monte fuo no so na nka fe no so yen dey yente so esa na ye ho kire ye dodo ye ho
so ni aban can say fuo na kosoro is because of Iran Iran Israel war intina fuo na kosoro no so what you say sir intina say mo so mo ye ma adwen say mu increase na che say mu increase mo first na che say bibia be kosoro wo man ni
okay say intino na say metie mu a na say run to kwano e brass affect e bante say blafsia e be mafu na san beda baby da entina say nka say etumi manage no na send e fu no says baby a win da no en na ho akopem say to kwano be den e be ko ba say nka e beti ase mo musa mo mudie na say nka send to kwano blast na say nko mafu no asan o ma increase na ba forma enke beti ase ba e bia beti ase be wi na afi no ento kwa no be kofem na afi store na fuo no down ya san increase fuo no sa no de esa na high because obefu bi ka be say 400 Ghana cedi obe say 400 cedi afi obetu ya metika kan be bi say ya enu abi na be yakoto ebia nso na beto aduane ne nyoma de yes na ye hukom we say oya adwuma so na wonya hwe nkofi so atiase de se ntokwa no be kofem na so be ma fe na ba fem o mafuo na ba fom a nka be boa ye nyina de ebe mie ni na nka manage said ye mo kan o my president na epe no ye be ye ne sama no kofi se ntokwa no be kofom na o be mafuo na ba fom
Yeah, that's a pass on Akasa. Well, we're still here, and well, as the gentleman just rightly said, he's wondering if drivers decide to hold on to the pact until the war subsides, will it come back, or will fuel prices resort to as we knew it? Well, we're still here at Obra Sport, and I have some drivers here, and I would want to engage them just briefly. Why? Yeah, bisa about transport fares. No, you say GPRT you seen no. GP. Enye kokonsa. Ofa mama no kasa enye kokonsa. Enye kokonsa. Yes. GPRT you seen no say. Well, mo secretary Imoro kasenti no. Well, sentiments are quite high here at Obra Sport. I'm trying to find out if I can speak to some passengers who'll be interested as to whether they'll be willing to go with GPRTU's agenda to increase prices, to increase transport fares. Well, we're still here. All right, so let me engage this driver briefly. Ofa, good morning. On what to say? You have a very interesting name, Pacho Kaiming. Asoriba. So when him say a cabinet meeting, president eko cabinet meeting, or sintino or shese, mubetimi you can say ato fairness so kakra. Now why don't you share what one is saying?
The American president ya papa jo mama ne say cabinet meeting na work on ehun hia say work and some to driver for lolly first one my say Russia Ukraine enya ntokwa no ebi anka Ghana.
That's in 2020. Yeah.
Ebi anka Ghana. Because ono no me yeti ase say Russia Ukraine ko a eni kwan say affect Ghana. Ne yakasa Ghana ne mamu ayedin. Enti we suso Iran and USA bomb bia anto Ghana. Bomb bia anto ha ehun frama kra mfa ha. Nti eni kwan say Ghana fuel ekosoro. Oba ya na world market fuel ba form no. O me ebo ansem man so na one na aban one the finance minister. Aya de papa Ghana ha nyina bi nsi da. E because one na atimi abefa fuel aba 9 cedis. Ama waje ne samba papa okro we mu. Nti na de ba ne se one the finance minister e ba ne say e fuel akosoro. Russia and Ukraine omo na ama Ghana. Iran and US bomb ma Ghana. Nti yesre no. Driver for kwan ode enam so no ye ni nye ho. Yehu video a se driver ni elodu no se no fa akosoro na soldier for bro no. The same soldier for national security for no. Wo nko aboso kan no nko hwe. Anti driver for boni ven ya NDC na aban. Yesra no ye the cabinet meeting na wo ko no. Ehu hia ya driver for won to akatuya ni mu. Won to mu maye. Won to fe ni mu maye. E because some S gas ya mo ntie so. Won allowance so mo ntie so. Won pay won ntie so. Nti mama nti min ka chese ya driver for just akwa cabinet meeting ansa na wate ye lolly watu ye lolly face so ontimi kra nti omo moden pa no wadi ehwamo nti yesre no ehu hia so akwa cabinet
Asoriba there, and Asoriba is saying that he's not expecting anything other than increment from President Mahama. He's saying this cabinet meeting should come to an end with the result that transport fares are going to be increased, else drivers may have to take the most critical plan. And so I'm still here. Let me speak to another driver. Alpha, good morning. Petrol fuel prices equal, and so President Semontomo Mamu increase fares. Why do you share what one say? And then Omoko cabinet meeting.
And my drink say dear, drivers in the movie. Adiatumu say. Government no be yan bibi amaye but omusho na amuma lori fe no kwosoro ka say yes aduma ya no ni nyina kọ fuamu tu ponkra wunya bibi enkofi e ba no sa pe na da bia antoko wo fi na afen so the aye pan say ye national yi ni overhead na si Kwame Nkrumah
So that's my colleague Sheila Sechi there speaking to some of the transport operators on the meeting today. Well, let me come to studio and let's wrap it up. And because we heard from some of them.
I like our best logic. What is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. And the principles are not seasonal. If President Mahama knew and believed that Russia-Ukraine did not have an impact, as the whole NDC has told the whole country, then they should stand with the same principle that they had and not change it. So as everybody is telling us, the principles are not seasonal. And I commend him for his courage and boldness. We will not weaponize a war happening in somewhere against them. We are very humane and reasonable people who will just allow him to govern his country. But the ordinary Ghanaians will tell him their version of the truth. And I think just quick rebuttals on what Honorable said. You know, he blamed the cocoa crisis on the past government, how they mismanaged the cocoa board. You see, anytime this government hits a bedrock or hit a very hard rock, they now remember that they inherited some mixed economy and some mixed sector. But as soon as things are going well, they take the credit for themselves. Let's do some logical tests here. When you came, the first 1 year or so, you even increased the prices of cocoa, and farmers were jubilated. You took the credit for it. At that time, you didn't know there was some mess that you inherited. When things are not going well, out of your own indecision and your own indiscretion, your own mismanagement, that is where you remember that, oh, even before I came, there was a mess that I inherited, and I did so well and performed. But right now, I can then go and attribute what is happening now, the current crisis, to a certain mess that I inherited. I think it's obnoxious, it's unfair, is completely untenable, and defies the whole point about logic. And then he also tried to establish some links between the price in Ghana and the price in Cote d'Ivoire. Very simplistic. Even, you see, the cost of production of cocoa in these two countries are completely different. The cost of fertilizer, the cost of labor, the cost of transportation, they are completely different. Even the macroeconomic environment, they are completely different. Where our currency, there's so much inflationary pressures and subject to depreciation. Cote d'Ivoire, you see a CFA franc, which is pegged to the euro. So those analyses about, even Cote d'Ivoire, the amount is this, the amount is this, it is completely different. Our purchasing powers are completely different. What a Ghanaian farmer can buy, the rent will pay. If we are a Ghanaian farmer, the cost of labor will be completely different from what is happening in Ivory Coast. So they should stop those comparisons, take responsibility, and then fix the cocoa crisis so that our families will be happy. And finally, any remarks that they make, if we were able to retrieve the monies that were spent in the cathedral, we'll be able to construct our railways. First of all, you've been in power for the past 1-something year. I'm not even sure you've even been able to even prosecute one person in the first place. Let's assume, without even admitting that you've been able to prosecute somebody, and you are even able to retrieve some money. Remember, we made the same noise when we were in opposition, that Wyomization, when we come, the Wyoming money will be converted into this. It's simplistic. How much was spent in the cathedral, and how much does it take to do a detailed and comprehensive railway lines and railway structures or railway infrastructure in our country? We made the same mistake. We say Jida, there was one Sada as on top. Well, I mean, we had all of those things. When we come, we retrieve the money. You come and realize that governance is not really about that. Sometimes there's speculations out there when you get to the court and you are now confronted to prove with evidence, it may be completely different. So they should tell us a comprehensive way of improving our infrastructure in terms of transportation, in terms of the railway, which I don't even think when it comes to the railway, this government even have any clear idea of how they are going to improve it. They are completely not going to do it. But they should face the basic problems and the promises that they made. Fighting Galamsey, 24-hour economy, creating jobs. They should be able to see at least working. Other than that, gradually, Ghanaians will be adjusting to their ways. The PR and the PR gems, it will get to a state that government or Ghanaians will be fed up and then will be demanding accountability. At that time, the excuses that they are making that we inherited this will will not save them.
Okay, let me just read some comment quickly, and then we'll call it a day on the show.
But I haven't given my...
I'll try and get you to give your
conclusion. I allowed you to speak about 5 minutes.
No, but you spoke about 7 minutes before.
Oh, is that it? But he has made some wild...
Oh, no, it's not wild.
Good morning. I am Eric Bayo, watching from Teshima South. Please ask the NDC man that is a conflict happening in Ghana? If Russia and Ukraine conflict cannot affect Ghana, then the Israel-Iran conflict too cannot affect Ghana. And he spoke about Ken Ofori-Atta. Who he says this NDC communicator need a lot of education. Okay, how can detention be equated to being in prison? Okay. This one says, greetings to you and your panelists. Is the NDC man telling us that COVID and the Russia war didn't affect our economy? Even President Mahama himself admitted it when he traveled outside the country, but would play propaganda when he was in the country. Okay, Honorable, just make your concluding remarks while they...
Yes, I believe that I can hear the comments of people, and we take that in good faith. The government has come to stabilize the economy. The first year was used to stabilize the economy, as we all see. The inflation rate was low, the dollar rate was low, and that gave relief to Ghanaians. And now, the second year, you could see the big push. He's talking about infrastructure. We have laid down the grounds for a big push to do a lot of roads. And for railways, he said he has not seen anything. Mohammed's first term, he was able to start the railways, which when they came, they just derailed everything. I still believe that with the inception of this government, they should try and do this railway system, underground especially. And then, because there are good things that they are doing, this refinery thing, they should increase it more, so that in next time, we will not have this kind of problem. NDC is a government which thinks ahead, and not like my friends who just come and disrupt everything. So the big push, you should all take note. I believe my brother supports that big push, except that they want to derail it. Everything which is good, they know that if we are able to do that, Ghanaians are just going to give it overwhelming support. So they want to attach certain things to it so that it will not work at all. I hope that things will go well for us. And by the end of this year, we will see a lot of improvements.
Interesting. Yeah. Kwasi, just final comments, and then we'll wrap it up.
I shouldn't have given him the chance. I thought we were going to do this right, because he has spoken at length.
No, I'm not.
My brother,
I'm not going to make any.
Give that to me.
No, I'm not going to make any huge or wild remarks. All I can say is that the government should first of all listen to the plight of ordinary cocoa farmers, because it was a topic that we discussed, and of course. As they go into this meeting, we expect that it yields a result and not the usual PR meetings that they are having, and where they pretend they are working, but at the end of the day, you may not really find anything substantial. We expect that when they come, they say, oh, we will be able to reduce fuel price by a amount. Other than that, the whole idea about the meeting was completely unnecessary.
Interesting. Well, we'll just take a few more messages. And you can see the message on your screen from Isaac from Ho. He says, it's not the best to wish your own country bad, but NDC appointees and communicators are compelling Ghanaians to do so. If Honorable didn't consider COVID as a pandemic that destroyed economies of the world, then I'm afraid and disappointed in him. He says, if he's saying, if anything relating to, okay. All right, so that's Isaac from Ho. Meshach Asante says, I want to know from the confused minority MPs, when did they transfer the LGBTQ plus law from Parliament to the presidency, for which they expect the president to sign? He says desperation has taken over the entire NPP political party. That is why they talk with no basis. Okay. This one says, good morning. Please, the NPP has no moral right to talk about the economy of Ghana. These people collapsed a lot of businesses in this country. It got to a point when you go into a shop to buy something, the shopkeeper will ask you to wait for him, will ask you to wait for him to call his suppliers for the new price before he could sell for you. You buy something in the morning, afternoon, the price has changed. Likewise in the evening. And he said, may the good Lord never bring NPP into power again. Master Rahman, Solatuna, there. Okay. Rahman, maybe 2 more than I'm done. He said, please, with the greatest respect, okay. Well, you said, it's like when people start with the greatest of respect, they are just come to...
It's so.
Yeah, very. Good morning, please. The NDC man, the way he's struggling for his explanation, he should be, okay. Interesting. You can always make your point without having to be condescending and insulting. I am not an NDC member or sympathizer, but the credibility, prestige, and integrity of Bawumia is already plummeting, he says, because Bawumia failed woefully in 2024 to prove his mettle as an economist. All what Bawumia said in 2016 electioneering campaign about the economy, he could not prove himself as an economist. And he goes on to say other things there. This one says, Akonsi Gariba says, Ghanaians should stop taking the NDC administration seriously because they are an unprincipled group of people who are inconsistent with what they told Ghanaians in opposition. And he goes on to talk about quite a number of messages here. All right, maybe just this one final one. Habib, Bokrom, I think that Asoriba is just making politics about the petrol. We all know that 20% of the world petrol came from that side. So even USA and Europe is affected. Well, Asoriba is trending.
We should have ended there.
Anyway, well, that's it. That's where we
on a positive note.
Interesting. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, Honorable, for coming. Kusi, thank you very much for coming.